Hello again, and welcome back. Last week I spoke about the MSC Flaminia case and liability. This week I want to talk again about Flaminia, but this time from the point of view of information. The incident occurred because of spontaneous polymerization in a tank container with divinyl benzene, or at least we're fairly sure it did. Now, since then, the UN and IMO have made changes to the regulations that require a certain amount of information to be passed on from the originator of the cargo, the manufacturer, to partners in the supply chain to detail how the cargo is inhibited, either through the use of an stabilizer or through temperature control, which is fine. One of the interesting or perhaps threatening aspects of the court judgment in New York on the Flaminia case was that the regulations provide only a baseline, and that anybody in the supply chain, including the manufacturer, who is in possession of additional information that would help prevent accidents through the supply chain, should also make that information available. Now, what this means, I suppose, is that if you know something about the cargo and you don't tell your logistics partner or the ocean carrier or whoever, then if there is an incident, your liability is going to be increased. And so, obviously, it would be a good idea to limit your liability by passing on all relevant information. That raises the question then, how do you do that? These days we're moving increasingly towards EDI in the supply chain, which in many respects is a sensible move. Obviously, if you have the information generated once by the originator and it's accurate and it's merely passed on electronically to partners in the supply chain, then you don't get errors caused by the rekeying of that data at each point. On the other hand, you have to be able to be sure that the additional information, and that includes the additional information that's now required for these polymerizers, which includes the details on how it's stabilized, how you can provide that information down the chain, in what format. Are your EDI systems capable of doing it? Are your partners' EDI systems capable of accepting that information? And also, if there is supplementary information that you think may be useful and you're going to give it just to limit your liability, how does that get passed on? Does it fit into the format? And the other thing that makes me worry, really, is that in the old days of paper, when these would be passed on or telexed or faxed from party to party, they will be received by somebody in the next office down the chain and entered into their system. And at that point you have a human intervention and a human interacting with the information. And if there is extraneous or supplementary information, then there's a chance for that to get highlighted, to be spotted. But if you don't have anybody doing that, if it's just going through a Chinese box and nobody actually sees it, does it then get acted upon? I know that there are companies, DG Office for instance, looking at specific HTML protocols, XML protocols for dangerous goods information. And there are promises that there will be systems available that will allow systems that talk a different language, if you like, to converse with one another by converting from one format to another. But I don't think we're there yet, at least not fully. And so this is something that I think all parties in the supply chain need to be alert to. And what you do with it, I don't know. I know, for instance, some of the shipping lines have worked on software to spot misdeclared cargoes by interrogating the dangerous goods notes they get. But as a more general rule, and certainly for smaller operators in the logistics chain, you really do need to be careful of this. Like I said last week, the potential liability, if you get it wrong, financial liability could be enormous. Never mind the danger to life, property, and the environment. So there you go. There's another thing for you to worry about. Happy to help. That's the thought for this week. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.